Al Franken is here. He is a former writer and performer for Saturday Night Live. He's also an author. His latest book, Lies and the Lying Liars Who Tell Them, was the second highest-selling nonfiction book of 2003. He has just returned from his fourth USO tour where he entertained troops in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Kuwait. And as of this week, he has agreed to host a talk show on Central Air, the soon-to-be-launched liberal radio network. I am pleased to have him back at this table. First things first, tell me about going to Iraq. I mean, I saw where Letterman was over there. Others have gone. What do you do when you go over there? You tell jokes, you stand up, it's mainly just hanging out? What is it?
It's mainly we do a show.
Right.
We're like traveling show
Like
folk.
Bob Hope used to be.
That's what you aspire to.
Yeah.
And I brought Andy Breckman, who is a former colleague at SNL, a great comedy writer, and we wrote a very Bob Hope type of show. My first line was so anybody here from out of town? And then the second joke was, boy, this Army chow doesn't agree with me. So far I've had 5 of these MREs, those are meals ready to eat, and none of them seem to have an exit strategy. So it's not, it was not me going there and saying, because I've been critical of President Bush on the war, it was not me saying, the president lied to you, and you are dying for no reason.
No, I don't mean that, but some might do political satire.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it depends what you call political satire. I did a piece where I was Saddam.
Yeah.
We got there.
Saddam in captivity.
Yes, 2 MPs brought me out in handcuffs, and it was a very Carson Mighty art players, Saddam.
Right.
Yes, scary.
Now, you wanted to do this. You've been doing this before, or is this the first time?
This is my 4th USO tour. It's the first time in a active battle zone.
You do it because you think a certain obligation as a citizen to sort of be there for the troops and give them a small dose of entertainment?
Yeah,
or a large
exactly
dose.
why. Well, I hope a large dose. And it's also I get as much out of it as anybody. I love doing it. Yeah. It's a bonding thing with whoever you're going out with. The troops are. This was very moving. It's always very moving to me. These are young kids, my kid's age, and the first night in Kuwait, we ended the show with "God Bless America." We had the Army band, and I looked in the front row, and there was a black soldier, had his arms linked with a white soldier, with a woman soldier, and they were singing "God Bless America." And I thought that this military could teach a lot of universities a lot about affirmative action. I mean, I'm very impressed with our military. And, people ask me, I agreed to do this like 8 months ago. And people,
did they ask you or did you ask them?
They asked me
for
for this. Because I've done 3 before. I've been to Kosovo 3 times, I've been to Bosnia 3 times. They ask me and they know I'm pretty good at it, actually. And as it started getting more violent, as it became clear that it wasn't totally safe there, I mean, we went on Black Hawks from like Baghdad to Crete, and people said, don't go, Al, don't go. And I went, this is actually when they would need you to go. The place is pretty chaotic.
Radio. You finally agreed to go on and be. What's the genesis here? Is someone saying, look, talk radio is owned by the right in America, and the left in America needs a voice? Needs a place where they can go. And why hasn't it happened? Why hasn't it happened before?
Well, to their credit, the right sort of captured it, and Rush did it.
Right.
And I wrote a book on him, Rush Limbaugh's Big Fat Idiot, and other observations. And I got to be familiar with some of his techniques and what he does. And talk about...
What would that be, his techniques and what he does?
Oh, distortion. I mean, today, I was listening today for the hell of it.
Yeah.
And he was talking about Paul O'Neill on the Today Show.
Yeah.
And Paul O'Neill was backing off a little bit. And he did a great little thing, which is a very Rush little thing. He said, Susskind says that O'Neill took copious notes.
Susskind being the co-author of this book.
Yeah, well, the author, really.
Right.
Took copious notes. We had all these documents, and listen to this. And then he...
It sounds like that's good.
And then he plays O'Neill on with Katie Couric saying, like, well, she asked about the documents, and he said, well, I went to the Treasury Department, got the CD of documents, and I didn't look at them, but I gave them to Susskind, and says, he never looked at them. And of course, the copious notes were about the meetings he had been in.
Yeah.
And that's what Susskind said. So this was Rush going like, and Rush's listeners going like,
That guy found out the truth.
Yeah,
He saw through it.
That's what he does. And we're gonna, I'm going to try to do drug-free radio. I don't know if it can be done. I don't know if it's ever been done.
Sticking it in him, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
what do you think about? What are your sense of what happened to him? I mean, is this fodder for your humor?
Yeah. I'll tell you
Do you
what.
have any reason not to do that? Because,
Sure.
I mean, drug addiction is addiction is addiction.
It is, and I felt...
And it came to him, I assume, because of pain.
And I had back surgery, too.
Well, let's see your drug list, all right?
When I first heard about it, of course, you have to be, feel for anyone who's addicted. Compassion. Exactly.
And that passed after 5 seconds.
Here's the thing. When my friend Jerry Garcia died, Rush Limbaugh called him just another dead doper and a dirtbag. Rush Limbaugh has said repeatedly over the years that people who use drugs illegally should be prosecuted and put away. So I pray for Rush. I pray that he is in recovery. And as you know, when you're in recovery, you take responsibility for your actions coherent with your own values. So I am praying that Rush demands that he be sent away for the maximum term at the most dangerous prison in Florida, and hopefully is put in a cell with an African-American inmate who heard the Donovan McNabb statements on ESPN. I'm praying for that.
You don't mean this.
No, I don't mean that. But the point is that there is so much hypocrisy about drugs, and this sort of underlines it, I think. And there are people in prison in the United States for possession.
Do you relish the idea that Rush was in trouble with perhaps the law and certainly with public attention?
I have to say, yes.
Okay,
and
now how about Bill O'Reilly? What's the problem there?
Well, Bill has no problem.
What's the problem? What is the problem there?
Well, he seems to have a pathological problem with the truth.
Let's just talk about this.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm told, and you tell me. And I haven't spoken to him, but I've welcomed him on the program because here, on this program, he wanted to come to this program. George Clooney, who I like and admire, and George on this program said, I want to debate Bill O'Reilly,
right?
But I don't want to go on his show to do it, and I'd like to do it on your show.
I saw this interview.
Yeah.
I watched your show.
Thank you. We can't get Clooney to come.
Well, that's too bad.
Because Riley said, on this show, I'll do it. I'll be here. Tell me when.
Yeah. And then you asked O'Reilly if you debate me, and he said no.
Right.
Right.
Why is that?
Because he knows that he'd lose. Because
you think that's it?
Yeah.
Well, why? Because you're smarter, or because you have a...
No, because I'm more truthful.
Is that it?
Because I'm honest.
You tell more truth than...
Yeah. Well,
or less lies,
for example,
or what?
The debate would have to be about.
It's a terrible picture of you. But
of me?
Yeah.
No, well, it's me being judgmental.
Yeah, no, it is. But look at this. Look what you chose of him.
Yeah, well, here's
sneering. That's not Bill.
Well,
Bill
not only that, but it's
lovable and cuddly.
Yeah. We had this dust up at the L.A. Book Expo.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
Now, did you start it, or did he start it?
Well,
did he first fly into rage because of what you were saying, how much time you would take?
He saw this cover. And he didn't
but he didn't like his picture.
He didn't like his picture, which is a picture that we got, which was a public domain picture because we couldn't get a picture from them at the Factor.
Yeah.
So he looked at this and he went, "That's not me. This is what I look like," because he's splotchy in that.
Right.
And
oh my God! You shouldn't have done this. Did you do this?
Well, this is what happened.
You should have stopped the publication of this photograph.
I was going to. This is a real, actual picture of him, and I had intended
but I mean,
to
I've seen real, actual pictures
I
of
was
people.
going to pay for the best de-splotcher in the business.
You were?
Yeah.
You were prepared to do that?
Yeah. But what happened was that at the Book Expo, we had to throw this thing together to have a temporary cover. So he got all mad in the green room before this panel and started like going to my publicist, who weighs about 95 or 110 pounds, going like, That's not me. I look like this. I don't look like this. I look like this. And we go like, Bill, we've seen you on TV. We know what you look like. This is a temporary cover. We're going to desplotch.
Did you say that way, that nice, soothing, responsive way?
Yeah, I did. I was saying.
Or did you say, get out of my publicist's face, O'Reilly?
No, I said, Bill, she had nothing to do with the cover. And I said, look, if you would just send us a picture from the factor.
Any picture you send, we'll use.
Well, I said, anything. I said, something of you lying, anything with your mouth open will probably do. And I thought
sure
that was a joke
that
he would think was funny.
He did.
He didn't. So then we go out on the stage, and we had Molly Ivins was pushing her book, Bushwhacked.
Oh, so you're doubling up on him.
Well, yeah, because Tucker Carlson couldn't show up for a family reason, and O'Reilly was pushing his book.
He was eating Hillary's shoes at the time, or something.
Yes. Tucker was. O'Reilly was pushing his book, Living with Herpes, which is a very good book. When you write from your experience, it's good. And so anyway.
A joke.
A joke. And I was, going to do my book. And he got up second and started going after me, saying, like, I don't call people liars. That's not what I do. And evidently he had never actually watched his show. So I felt like I had to respond to him, and then I basically owed it to him to explain why he was on the cover of a book that had the words lies and lying liars on it.
But what got them crazy, I think, fair and balanced look at the right. Use of the word fair and balanced.
That's how they tried to sue me.
Right.
But what happened was I went through using nexuses, and I kind of proved that not only is he a liar, but kind of a pathological liar. And
do you believe that or not?
Huh?
Do you believe he's
absolutely.
You don't believe he's a pathological liar?
Oh, no, I do. I
no,
totally believe
why?
It. Because
what makes him a pathological liar?
Because he'll tell a lie and then tell another lie to cover the lie and do it over and over again.
There was also some flare-up about whose book was the biggest bestseller in 2003.
Yeah, I mean, this is a perfect example.
Yeah. As I understand it, one survey, Hillary obviously is first, Hillary Clinton's book. You were second and he was third. Is that right?
That's the way it is.
Those what the numbers don't lie, so to speak.
Well, yeah.
So what was the problem there?
The problem is he's a pathological liar. So he went on the Today Show and he just went like, I'm kicking Franken's butt in sales, and I'm very close to being first in 2003 for nonfiction book sales. And so you Factor fans, you out. And it worked. They bought the book, but at the time he was like 30 to 40% behind me.
Yeah.
And less than half of Hillary's. I mean, he's pathological. So I run down this thing using Nexus quotes, proving that he's a liar. So he yells, "Shut up! You've had your 35 minutes. Shut up!" And I had only spoken for 20. Which shows that he couldn't even tell me to shut up without lying. And he was so mad, like the next time he was on the radio, he said that if this had happened in the Old West, we would have had to have a shootout. And he guaranteed, which I thought was interesting, and he guaranteed his audience that he would have beaten me, that he would have killed me. Which I thought was interesting because, I don't know if you know this, Charlie, but during the summers, I do the whole state fair quick draw.
No, I didn't know that about you at all.
I'm third in the nation.
How long have you been doing that? Third in the nation?
Yeah.
And competing for second?
I know that O'Reilly isn't first or second. But anyway, O'Reilly guaranteed to his audience, and this is a quote, I would have shot him between the head. So he's out of control, and he's gone after people who, he calls me a smear merchant. This is why he doesn't want to be on with me. There's nothing.
So in other words,
book.
if I could get him to come here this evening,
yes,
or some other evening, you'll be here in a moment.
Oh, please. Oh, please get him.
Because he'll say, because I've asked him about this, he'll say,
I wouldn't dignify being there with him, the smear merchant.
Right.
Well, if you're a smear merchant, next time you have him on, ask him what in my book isn't true. Okay?
And have him show me chapter and verse.
Yeah.
What's not true.
Yeah.
Now, the problem was...
then I'll be on a little thing. You have me type in. Because he'll say things like he said that
I have you waiting behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get to some serious politics in a moment.
Okay,
a fair and balanced look at the right. That's why they sued you, right?
Right.
Now, he claimed that it wasn't him. The guys at the
He claims
network.
it wasn't him.
It was the guys at the network. It wasn't Bill.
No,
Bill didn't have time for lawsuits.
No, it was Bill.
No, he does. He said it wasn't.
A week after
he said
this-
it wasn't.
I know. He's a pathological liar.
No, it's
Pathological liar.
He's not. All right.
You know it was him. But let me say one thing about this. Right after...
I think I should put the book down,
Okay,
don't you
put it-
think?
Yes, absolutely. It's unfair
Yeah.
to
Bill.
other people. A week after that, we got threatened by Fox to sue.
Yeah.
That they're going to sue us if we kept this title. And my publisher got a little exercise about it. And I said, do not worry, Stutton. I said, I've been in this 30 years. I'm a satirist, and I can tell you one thing, that satire is protected speech, even when the object of the satire doesn't get it.
Yes.
So that made her feel better. And then we got
Dutton was
Floyd
happy.
Abrams, who looked it over and went like, "There's no case here."
Oh, right. Floyd Abrams, the best.
And they threw it
Oh,
out.
one of the best First
They
Amendment
didn't throw
lawyers
it
in
out
the
of court. They
country.
said that. Okay.
All right, let me move on. So,
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is-
yeah.
so they announced you're going to do this radio show deal,
Right, right.
Progress Media. All right. Now, let me come back because I want to leave this before we go to what's happening in Iowa. There is this. The left has not done as well as the right, both in terms of think tanks as well as in terms of
Yeah,
talk
we got a
radio.
late start.
What's
Why?
wrong with the left in America then? Where you sleep? Where you don't
Yeah.
have as many funny people? What is it?
We were asleep.
But
I
you
mean,
do-
after 64.
You don't have the same sense of entertainment that the right does?
Oh no, I think we're good we're strong in the entertainment field.
No, I don't mean in the entertainment field. I mean
But
in
I mean-
terms of the capacity to combine satire and the entertainment value. I mean, you'll give to Rush, for example, and to Bill, some sense that they create attractive shows, and they have a
they have
shtick that
showmanship.
sells. That's right,
Yeah,
showmanship.
they have showmanship. They really do.
This is what you say, this new radio. What are you going to do on the radio?
What am I going to do?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to talk, obviously, but how's your program going to be different from their show?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to do unguested confrontation. That is literally the radio term for Rush's format,
Yeah.
and it was he created it. It's, no, it's non-guested confrontation.
I've never seen or heard, I've never heard Bill O'Reilly's radio show.
Yeah.
Is it similar to Rush? Or is it
I've
more like
heard
The
it
Factor?
I've heard a little bit, and it's sort of a. I've heard him have a sidekick who's a lawyer. I just really heard him when he was suing me, and then he has calls
Come
in.
on. I want you
and
to,
his
I want
show-
you to acknowledge that you're a devoted fan
of
O'Reilly's radio show.
I did listen to it during
Okay.
the lawsuit.
All right, listen to this quote from you.
Yeah.
My first priority is to get sued by a right-wing jerk in order to generate interest in my new show, The Franken Factor.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Take
So-
advantage of free media.
Yeah, and it might be the Franken factor. And we'll just have
Are you-
a lawyer in the booth at all times.
What are you going to call this show?
We may call it the Al Franken
Are
factor.
you serious?
Well, I don't know. I haven't, the Al Franken show.
Can't do
seems-
that. No, you know.
Why
come
can't
on.
I do that?
Well, you shouldn't do that because
Well, it is. I shouldn't do it because we won't be focusing on Bill O'Reilly. Obviously,
I
we'll
would
be
hope so.
focused.
I would
so it
hope
might
so.
be the
I would
the
hope
Rush
so.
Franken show, or the no drug talk show, or no. It'll probably be the Al Franken show, I guess.
you think America is pretty much 50-50 between right and left in its politics?
Well, I think it's
red and blue and all that.
45, 45 or something
Really?
like that.
Yeah, well, 5%.
I think that David Brooks had an interesting
Yeah.
column today about
Interesting
that.
guy, exactly.
Yeah, and he said the Bush, it was called the Bush Democrats.
Right.
And he was saying that party alignment is about 45-45, I guess. Was that what he
Yeah,
said?
I think so.
And then he said, however, then he was sort of dissecting it and why, making the case that Bush will win, but I think that I don't agree with him, but I
You
do
don't think Bush is
like
going to
David
win? You don't
Brooks.
think Bush is going to win?
I think that it's a long, long time between now and November.
If the election was held today,
I think Bush would win.
yeah. And what might change, do you think, between now? I mean,
Ooh, so
is
much.
it just the unknown, or you have something specific you think is going to?
Well, I think that there is. When I was out promoting this book, they talk about
promote
the
the book, do you?
Bush haters.
Yeah.
There is a lot of anger in this country.
Yeah, but is it among simply committed,
No.
intensely committed, partisan activists in the Democratic Party?
No,
Because
I
there are not
don't-
enough of them
Obviously,
to elect.
obviously. I think there's anger, and I think what will increase over the year as people begin to look into, and it depends how things go in Iraq, God, I'm praying they go well.
How many more books by Paul O'Neill?
And depends on how many books by Paul O'Neill. But if you look back, and in my book I talk about, for example, the Bush response, non-response, doing nothing between the transition and 9/11 about Al-Qaeda, doing nothing about terrorism. And evidently they were focusing on Saddam. But I have a chapter called Operation Ignore.
Right.
And basically I talk about how Richard Clark had the head of counterterrorism for Clinton, and before that for first Bush.
I've been in there about 15 years, I think.
Yeah, and had come with a plan that Clinton had said after the Cole, create this plan to put troops...
Listen, but on the issue of terrorism, everybody, you can't find me a leader that didn't do enough.
Clinton didn't do enough, but
9/11?
Bush did nothing.
Who's going to win the Democratic nomination in your judgment?
I don't know.
Who would you like to win?
I don't know. I am...
Well, in other words, you're not so attracted to any of the candidates, or you have
I'm
some position
to many
against...
of the candidates. I have
You
done
can't
fundraisers.
decide?
I have done fundraisers.
After all that's taken place, you can't decide who you like?
I know.
Who you prefer?
It's sad.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What do you need?
I don't know.
You need more information? You need more trial by fire?
I
You need
want
to
the
know what their
process to work
positions are
out.
on what issue?
When Al Gore said he was...
Or is this just convenient?
Convenient not to know?
Yeah, of course. So you don't...
I have done
You don't
fundraisers for about
make anybody
4
angry.
or 5 of these.
Make one guy happy and the rest of them angry.
No, I've done fundraisers for 4 or 5 of the guys on the theory that they will each mobilize people and they'll use the money to run negative ads against each other.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's the best thought through strategy, but I think it's working. You were going to look at that book and miss that.
No, I heard it. No, I heard it. I heard it. Who's the smartest of the group?
I hear different things. Here are some of my takes on some of the people. As a comedian...
Is this a comedian? Okay, go ahead.
As a comedian... No, this isn't funny stuff.
Yeah, right.
But as a comedian, Howard Dean feels like the guy who goes on stage and is so confident that he'll riff on anything. And comedians like that kind of comedian.
That's a Robin Williams.
Well, he's not Robin. That is a confident comedian. Some of the other guys who I like very much, I love Dick Gephardt. I went around Missouri with Dick Gephardt earlier this year.
An honest man of great integrity.
Absolutely. Decent guy who embodies all the great Midwestern values. There's not a man, woman who's met him that doesn't say, what a decent guy, and a smart guy, and a solid guy.
Right.
John
With
Kerry.
a wealth of experience.
Absolutely.
John Kerry.
John Kerry. I mean...
War hero.
And not just a war hero. If you look at how he got a Silver Star, it's pretty amazing. They were going down the river and they kept getting ambushed from this bank, and all the other swift boats were. And one day he went over this with his crew, and they just turned the thing around. They went toward shore, bombing toward shore and shooting their 50 millimeters. Scared the hell out of these Kong. He jumps out, tackles one of these guys, and kills them. And they get their weapons and stuff like that, and they never got ambushed from there again. And they had been wounding and killing guys. Right. And he didn't know whether he was going to get reprimanded but he got the Silver Star. I mean, a ballsy guy.
Sure.
And a guy who, if you look at some of the races he ran against Weld, brilliant man. Very qualified to be president. Clark, from what I hear, you asked who's the smartest. I've heard...
Rhodes Scholar.
Yes, and I've heard a number of pundits say he's the smartest guy since Clinton.
I think number 1, number 2 in his class at West Point.
Number 1 in his class at West Point.
Okay, go ahead.
John Edwards. A lot of that's push-ups.
John Edwards.
John Edwards, great guy.
When you ask anybody, and I've done this on the show when we have political types come in here, they say he's the best athlete in the field, i.e., as Clinton was the best athlete in the field, the pure political talent.
Well, he certainly had a talent with juries. That's obvious, and I think that some of the same talent holds. And I love the fact...
You seem reluctant about him, are you?
No, I mean, I think that in...
Too inexperienced in your judgment?
If you're talking about national security being the test this year, he's not as seasoned in that, but he's more seasoned in that than Howard Dean.
Who are you leaning to?
I am leaning to... I don't know, and I reflect. Well, you're talking to
the fact that in Iowa, where they've been
Democrat.
listening to him for a long time, There's a
same
large
thing holds.
percentage of undecideds.
Yeah.
And this thing may be determined in the next 5 days. Clearly will be.
Iowa will be.
Yeah.
But I don't think Iowa's going to decide anything. I think
Well,
after Iowa,
it will. It will decide whether Dick Gephardt has a future, and
it will decide that.
you know, it'll decide as to
Dick has to win.
whether Kerry or Edwards is most likely to come out.
But that could come.
With
They could be
momentum.
very close. I thought Edwards getting
Right.
obviously the Des Moines Register nod
Endorsement,
is
yeah.
huge, and then after New Hampshire, this could be. You know, they front loaded it. Everybody said this is going to be decided real soon. It may not be.
Okay, I want to do this before I go because I'm way over.
Yeah.
Tell me what the three. Tell me what the 3 or 4 most important issues that ought to be debated in this campaign. What ought this campaign be about, other than just a referendum on Bush?
I think it should be on integrity, on crony capitalism, on taxes and the economy. In terms of this president has. This is what I want to say. The reason people are angry at Bush is that after 9/11, this president had an opportunity. We have never been so united as a country than we were right after 9/11. He had an opportunity to lead this country into a new American century, united in purpose and mutual sacrifice.
We are all Americans, was what was said.
He had this opportunity, and he blew it. And he blew it so big. And that's what this has to be about. The opportunity that he had to do that, and where he went the opposite way. He went to more tax cuts for those at the top. He went to besmirching Max Cleland in those ads in Georgia. He did the exact opposite.
Well, I can't
of what
answer
he
all of this in a sense. I mean, you know, they would argue about whether he went to besmirching Max Cleland. Then clearly there was some.
They're
there was some
proving,
besmirching.
Carl Rove's approving that stuff.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
So if it's him or Carl Rove, you know, even in O'Neill's book, after 9/11, they went to the second round of tax cuts, and the president himself said, guys,
Yeah, exactly. He
didn't
does
we
say that.
already give the rich a tax cut? And it was like, whoa, time out. You know, we need a break, Mr. President. Let me take you aside here.
It's true. That
You know?
that was actually one of the most interesting stories.
I think
when
that's
it came
the
back,
most
and
interesting.
I do too. Actually, that was the most interesting thing. And the president said, "Wait, did we do this
Didn't we? Why should we be giving it to the rich
again?"
again? Didn't we give it to them?
All right, Al Franken, Lies and the Lying Liars Who Tell Them, a fair and balanced look at the right. This was the #2 bestseller in 2003, according. That's still true, is it not?
In 2003, yeah. I'll be #1 this coming Sunday.
Really? In the New York Times?
Yeah. I thought my people sent that to you.
Oh, they probably did. I just didn't read
No,
it.
it just happens to be that in my 20th week I'll be #1, but I'm sure
Okay.
the Paul O'Neill book will be
#1 soon.
Susskind book will be #1 the week after that. And
Okay.
I'm glad about
What do you
that.
mean? You sure? You know already?
No, I don't. We don't know until tomorrow.
Okay. 2 weeks ahead. Is that right?
Yeah, it's like 10 days ahead.
Okay. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Al Franken, back in a moment. David Denby is here to talk about his book, American Sucker, his experience. It's a good book. We'll be right back.